Hi, my name is Karen. I am the Senior Portfolio Manager at IGrow Wealth Investments. This is the first video in our educational series to help tenants know their rights and responsibilities. Today, we will be discussing the general fees and early termination of a lease agreement. Why is there a cash deposit fee charged on my rental statement? A cash deposit fee is a fee charged by the financial institutions, the bank, for making a payment in cash. These cash deposit fees are therefore bank charges and payable by the tenant. To prevent these additional charges to your account, you can pay your rent via EFT, stop order, or debit order. What is a failed payment fee from PayProp? A failed payment fee is the penalty raised to your account for a failed debit order. It is therefore important that you ensure your account has sufficient balance for your rental debit order to go off. According to the Consumer Protection Act, the tenant may legally cancel the lease at any time. However, the termination of the lease agreement before its expiry will incur what is termed reasonable cancellation penalties. The Act does not stipulate what is deemed to be a reasonable penalty. It does, however, state that the landlord may have no financial gain to the early cancellation of the lease and may only charge losses they have actually suffered. I have until the 7th of the month to pay my rent. Why are you phoning me or sending me a letter of demand? Nowhere in the Act does it state that a tenant has grace until the 7th of each month to make payment. The lease agreement states that rent is due no later than the 1st of each and every month. Any payments made after the 1st are late payments and will be updated as such to your payment history on your consumer credit record. It is therefore the tenant's responsibility to ensure that the full rental clears in the nominated bank account on the 1st of each month, and it is therefore considered a material breach if rental clears from the 2nd of a month onwards for that specific month. Where there is a binding lease agreement, the tenant will be issued with a letter of demand, giving him or her 20 business days to remedy the breach. If the breach is not remedied within the specific notice period, the tenant will receive a notice to vacate and cancellation letter. Over and above the legal implications, the tenant will also be charged late and non-payment penalties. If a tenant chooses to cancel their lease agreement prior to the expiry of the initial period for a reason other than a material breach of the lease agreement by the landlord, or the tenant is transferred out of the country for occupational or diplomatic reasons, the tenant shall give the landlord at least 20 business days written notice of such cancellation, and the landlord shall be entitled to recover any loss suffered as a result of such early cancellation of the lease agreement. The CPA compliant lease agreement that IGrow Rentals uses stipulates that the maximum cancellation penalty will not be less and not more than 2 months' rental. The factors that will be considered when determining the reasonable cancellation penalty will include the amount of time left until the initial period is due to terminate, whether the landlord is likely to find another tenant to replace the tenant within a reasonable time, and whether the tenant agrees this is a fair and reasonable cancellation penalty. If the landlord or the agent, by acting reasonably and diligently, is able to enter into a new lease agreement during the 20 business day notice period, and the new lease agreement is for the same duration or a longer period than the remaining period of this lease agreement, then the tenant shall only be liable for the reasonable advertising costs incurred by the landlord in advertising the premises and for any commission due to the agent. I hope you have found this video informative. Thank you so much for watching.